Alright, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, here are, for Algebra 1, our 9.4 notes. We're about done with the Unit 9 series in Algebra 1. And these notes are going to be very quick. I mean, this is probably going to be less than a 10-minute video. So, the discriminant. So, this is kind of leading into quadratic formula for us, alright? And quadratic formula is kind of the big formula we use when when we want to solve quadratics out. So the discriminant, it's essentially this little formula right here, b squared minus 4 times a times c. And it doesn't really tell us much. The only thing it really tells us about the equation that we're working with is how many solutions we have and potentially what type of solutions, all right? So like how many and what type of solutions you'll have. Now, when you do the discriminant, you'll either have a positive number, a negative number, or you'll get 0, all right? If you get a positive number, that tells you that the equation you're working with will have 2 real solutions, all right? If you have a negative number, that means you'll have 0 real solutions. And then if you get the number 0, that means you'll have 1 real solution, all right? And that's all the discriminant tells you, all right? That's all the discriminant tells you. It tells you either, okay, I do this. I'm either going to have 2 solutions, no solutions, or 1 solution. That's it. So let's work through it out. Identify the number and types of solutions. I'll write the discriminant formula up here, negative b squared minus 4ac. First off, this is a little typo here. This should be 2 squared. This should be a squared as well. Just a little typo in your thing there. So one thing that isn't written on there, but I'm definitely going to write up here, equal to 0. So from basically here on out, with the equations that we're working with, we need to set our, we need to make sure our quadratics are set equal to 0. And if they're not set equal to 0, then we need to make them set equal to 0. So these examples are already set equal to 0, so we're good. We don't have to do any more work. I think I'm going to set up some more examples later that'll let us see like what we need to do to get them equal to 0. Excuse me. But for right now, we're good with where it's at. So it's set equal to 0. And again, remember, a, b, and c, a squared, ax squared plus bx plus c, that's what that is right there. What we need to do here is we need to set this into our formula here. So I'm going to start with b squared, so that's going to start with 10 squared minus 4, that 4 always stays, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 11. Now, the way that I like to do the discriminant is I'm going to cut it in half, well, not exactly in half, but I'm going to cut it like right in between the squared and the minus 4. And I'm basically just going to do these kind of separately. I'm going to do the 10 squared, which is 100. And then I'm going to basically treat this over here like negative 4 times 2 times 11. So if we do that, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times 11. That's going to get us negative 88. And so if I get negative 88, what that tells me is to do is I'm going to subtract 88. If I were to have a positive number, I would add that number. But since it's negative, I'm going to subtract. So 100 minus 88, that's going to get us 12. Now, 12, again, 12, that number only tells me, or the only, well, let me back up, excuse me. The only thing I really care about for this number is if it's either positive or negative. It's not 0, so it's either positive or negative. It's a positive number. It's positive. So this equation is going to have 2 real solutions, all right? 2 real solutions. There we go, okay? Let's work at example 2, set equal to 0. It already is. Now let's go ahead and set up my formula. B squared, negative 20 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is 25. Let's split this apart. 20 squared, negative 20 squared is going to be positive 400. Anytime you square a negative number, you get a positive number. So 20 times 20, positive 400. And if we do this over here, negative 4 times 25, it's going to get us negative 400. So I'm going to subtract 400. And 400 minus 400 gets me 0. So if it's 0, that means that I'm going to have one real solution. I'm going to have one real solution. Okay? All right. Sorry about that. I'm just going to set up a random example on this slide here, so you can just kind of disregard all these right over here. Let's say I set up, I don't know, 3x squared plus 4 equals, I don't know, negative 6x. Say plus 5. Who cares? I don't know. I'm throwing random numbers out here. So now this is the example to where if it's not set equal to 0, because I do not see a single 0 in this equation at all. So if it's not set equal to 0, what I need to do is I need to set it equal to 0. So what I need to do is I just need to pick either this side or this side. I just need to move everything over to this side. So say if I had this plus 6x, this minus 6x, I'm going to plus it to this side. And this 5, I'm going to subtract it to this side. 3x squared plus, well, the 6x, that just stays plus 6x. Minus 5 plus 4, that'll get me negative 1 equals 0. So now I have it set equal to 0. I've moved all of my stuff over to one side and set it equal to 0. So I'll write this over right here. Move, I'll kind of put in quotes, stuff to same side of equal sign. Move all stuff to same side of equal sign. All right, so you want to move all of your stuff to the same side. And from there, let's go ahead and set up the discriminant formula. So I'm going to do 6b squared, which is going to be 6 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, c, which is 1, so again, or negative 1, excuse me, a, c, b, and c. Split it apart. Going to go ahead and solve this out. 6 squared is going to be 36. Negative 4 times 3 is going to be negative 12. Times negative 1, that's going to get me positive 12. So I'm going to add, I'm actually going to bring it down here, 36 plus 12. If I add those together, that gets me 48. That is positive. So I will have 2 real solutions. All right. So again, that is discriminant right there. That is all we're doing for discriminant. Again, it's all about figuring out, it's basically figuring out if it's positive, negative, or 0, and it'll tell you how many solutions you'll have. Now, don't lose this because we're going to come back. We're going to use discriminant quite a bit in quadratic formula, all right? So don't lose this formula at all. Make sure you're keeping track of it. And we're going to use it for the next section, which is going to be quadratic formula. Thank you.